Hatzegopteryx has been nerfed in a recent patch that went live on Path of Titans on Friday, and today I'm talking about it all. However, this update is important because it also is a test of the hot patching system as well. So let's get into it, but before I do, let me know, are you happy with these changes to Hatzegopteryx or are you not? Hatz got a multitude of changes, some for good, some for worse. However, some of them I do agree are some quite annoying nerfs that will ultimately add some slight frustration to the playstyle of this creature. However, there was also one technically buff in a sense that kind of counteracts one of the nerfs. So what was changed? This is the entire changelog for the Hatzegopteryx changes, and these are these. Fixed Hatzegopteryx flail and barrel roll being usable in water. Adjusted Hatz flight acceleration slightly. It now requires more downward momentum to achieve maximum speed. So max speed has not been adjusted. However, the flight speed to get to that max speed, so the depth at which you have to go down and the time that you have to go down for, it has also changed. All Hatzegopteryx head attacks no longer share any cooldown pools. Increased cooldowns for peck, barrage, clamp and stab slightly. Hatzegopteryx now uses slightly more stamina in the air. Hatzegopteryx preened feathers now reduces stamina drain when flying by 33% instead of only 20%. So what's the good and what's the bad? Let's start off with the bad in my eyes. Ultimately, the biggest changes that will affect players are stamina and cooldowns. The adjustment to acceleration to require more downward momentum will mean that you ideally have to have a quite high dive and quite an angled down dive in order to achieve that momentum. So you have to go up quite high, dive down quite steeply, which also is a pain because otherwise Hatz is quite sluggish. The increase in cooldowns for all head attacks is also significant. These were actually quite important to note because these were the strongest attacks on the ground, especially for the creature, specifically Peck Barrage. So under a technicality, nerfing Peck Barrage's cooldown is kind of a good thing. Finally, for the negatives for Hatzegopteryx, using more stamina while flying is also a substantial nerf. However, Hatzegopteryx's stamina while actually sprinting in the air, sprint flying, is actually not that bad. So it isn't a massive nerf and I wouldn't be concerned about that one. Now, for the good, preened feathers essentially counters the stamina nerf by now reducing drain by an additional 35%. That is a good thing. And also, unlinking all of the head attacks is a good thing as well. So despite the increased cooldowns, you can still effectively do one attack, then do the other straight after each other, and try and do that and balance that depending on how the cooldowns work. You could probably find a good way to maximize your damage per minute from this by looking at the cooldowns. And of course, the fix to flail and barrel roll in the water isn't a bad thing. This creature still has a multitude of attacks that you can use in the water anyways, so these not being usable anymore is totally fine. So what are the changes in game? Well, I don't have the before stuff because this kind of just came out on a whim and I was going to get it on the public test branch, but Hatz isn't out on the public test branch, surprisingly. But these are the new cooldown values. For the clamp, it's now 10 seconds cooldown. For peck, 2 seconds. Peck barrage is 6 seconds and stab is 4 seconds. The biggest one there that I've noticed is the peck barrage. That being said, sprint flying, now I kind of tried to test this. It's about 4 minutes 10 if you have full stamina when you're in the air. It's going to be a little bit lower than that if you have that sprint takeoff and then start sprint flying for the whole duration. But sprint flying, you've got 4 minutes 10 seconds in the air from max stamina to fully drained with just a complete flat flying. Obviously, it will be less if you're going up and down. It will change significantly. However, do bear that in mind. Now, unfortunately, as I said, I couldn't get the before stats. If anyone knows them, feel free to let me know in the comments down below and we could probably piece it together, and I should put it as the pinned comment once we get all that information so people will know. There are two other fixes for dinosaurs. These are still dinosaur changes, and these technically revolve around Velocci, Hatzegopteryx, and Kentrosaurus. This is a big one coming for Kentrosaurus. It's a fix for Kentrosaurus subspecies not having eyes on mobile. This has been a thing for a while, by the way. This isn't just a new thing. I've been aware of this one for a while, so I'm glad they've been fixing this one. Velocci and Hatzegopteryx now have 3 seconds of flight impact immunity after taking flight impact damage. This is to avoid mid-air collision, multi-hit chaining frustrations, which that is really, really handy. I'm really happy to see that change come to the game. That's very, very annoying, and those are the other dinosaur changes that came in this patch. Additionally, there is another hotfix that has been brought to the game. You've got bug fixes and you've got server list improvements. For the bug fixes, they've fixed bugs and performance issues, which are namely issues with some users being unable to launch the game or get past the login screen, a crash when playing back replays, and a crash when selecting a player in the spectator mode. For server list improvements, the server list is now split into pages for faster loading and for better performance similar to mods. Lowered refresh cooldown on server list, and favorited servers can now be filtered, so the game will only list favorited servers in the list, which is absolutely great. Very glad that they have brought those changes forward for the server list especially. Now, I really quickly want to talk about hot patching. We talk about this a lot, but this is a good real-world example of how hot patching will work essentially to the game. We've seen a very quick and small patch come out for Path of Titans, which is this one. Bug fixes to Hatz or nerfs and stat changes to Hatz, and bug fixes to 2 or 3 creatures in the game. Now, this is important because this would otherwise, without the hot patching system, be an update that's tied to a major update. So we wouldn't actually see these changes until about 2 or 3 months down the line, when the first major update of the year hits the game. Now, why I want to mention this is because the devs mentioned that while they have the hot patching system, this is all it can perform at the moment. Quick fixes and stuff like that. It can't quickly introduce other content, and that's why they're moving to Unreal Engine 5.3, which I explained in this YouTube short, and it's also quite important to note there. That is everything to do with this news today. Are you happy with the Hatzegopteryx nerfs and changes? I really want to know, were you someone who was a Hatzy fan or a Hatzy hater? So are you happy or are you not happy? That pretty much is that. If you want to check out another video, here is an upcoming animal survival game that I showcased that has stormed its crowdfunding that you should check out. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed, and other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.